You go to audition after audition after audition, and nobody, is looking at you. I have never gone to an audition and gotten the part that I have auditioned for. I
Hmm.
have gotten parts, but it wasn't what I went in for. I have gone in for an audition for a hooker and got the part as a nurse. I've gone in for the part of a nurse and got the part as a businesswoman.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Educators Game On. Today, we have a special guest with us today. I've had the pleasure of working with her in the education sector. However, in working with her, I came to realize she has quite an interesting background.
Wanda, how many years have you worked with her?
Several.
Okay,
Several
you
years.
didn't mention it.
Yeah, several years I've worked
I'm
with
just,
this
I'm
young
just,
lady.
I'm just curious.
So, with
Because
that,
I used to work at Winco with somebody for 2 days. I'm just wondering.
that's not the same.
Okay.
That's not the same. So, Lynne Burnett
Yeah.
is an accomplished actress.
Absolutely.
And if you look closer, you may recognize her from one of your favorite television programs.
I do. X-Files, Girlfriend, Ken and Cal, whatever their names were, and something else that I knew you're from.
Yeah,
just saying.
I've been lucky over the course of time, off and on, off and on. I've had parts in show business and in acting. I absolutely love show business, be it acting, be it directed, being writing, producing, doesn't make me any difference. I love show business and I have loved show business all of my life. I love it.
Well, Lynn, here's the thing. I see you're from Indianapolis, Indiana. How do you get all the way to California? Just
I got very lucky. I have a nephew that's also in the business, and he came home one Christmas, and the deal was, aunt, flew him home, and she said, "Listen, you want to get in the show business and get to Indianapolis? I'll tell you what, Mark is coming home. That's my nephew. You can ride back with him, or you can stay in Indiana. But this is my way of helping you to get to your dream because she was a dream person. May she rest in peace." And so my nephew
Love that.
came, I kept
Love that.
postponing it. And then one day we just packed everything in the car. And he said, "Listen, I got to get back. I've been, in Indianapolis for a month. I got to get back." And we left Indianapolis and we arrived in Los Feliz, California. It took us
oh wow.
23 hours to get from Indianapolis, Indiana to Los Feliz. And that was with the 4-hour stop because he said he couldn't stop because he thought if he stopped the car, I would get out and try to get back home.
So, Lynn, this has
And
actually been your dream to be in acting, right?
it has. You know what? I have a sister, very, very pretty. My big sister. There's 5 of us all together. One of my sisters. Now she's walking down the street years ago. A lady spots her and says, "Oh my God, would you like to be a model?" And my sister did it. She did it at the Crystal Room back at what was it, Ellis Ayers in Indianapolis, Indiana, years and years ago. She loved, the show business, but she didn't want to pursue it like I did. So she was like,
Mhm.
it's nice, but it's not for me. Myself, on the other hand, was like, "Oh yeah, I want to do this." My mother was like, "Shh, shh, let her speak, let her speak." And my sister was like, "Look, it's a lot of fun. It's not for me." But she had the natural. I mean, she didn't have to try. Me, I'm like, "I'm over here, I'm over here." And people are like, "Goofy pig, who's over there?" I'm doing backflips, and people are like, "No, anybody in the room." But I have, probably since I was, 13 years old, I
Uh,
knew that's what I wanted to do, was to
mhm.
go into show business somehow. So, here I am. Love it.
Wonderful. I do have a question. So I know it's hard to break into Hollywood or whatever they're talking about acting or whatever. But when you do prepare for a role, is there anything that you do when it's different ones that you have to prepare for? Like, is it very different to do that?
You
Like,
know,
okay,
when
so
they
let me give an example. Let me give an example. So if you were doing a romantic scene, is it totally different from you doing a action scene?
in Hollywood, it's kind of funny. It's for myself because I haven't been fortunate enough to be offered such a wide range. So for me, it's usually the snobby, bookworm lady, or it's the nurse. It's pretty much in those same things. The lady in distress. It's
Mhm,
usually one or the other. So
mhm,
I don't get to do really. Like I would love to be like, Wonder Woman or something, bang, bang, whatever. But for whatever reason, I don't get cast, but I get cast kinda like as the crazy, lady, and I really like that. And
Okay.
and see, everybody laughs, but I love being over the top. That's
mhm.
my thing. I love being over the top, because 'cause I'm also in education. So,
Right.
education is
That's
inside the
how
box.
we met.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
we met.
There you go. And it's inside the box, although I love it. I love kids and the whole shebang there, but it's inside the box. So you have a set of rules and you have an objective. At the end, the children have to learn how to read, write, whatever it is they're supposed to do. But in
Mhm.
show business, it is, hey, you take that character and you don't need to be in the box. You can go as far as the director and the producing team will let you go. So to prepare, I just know that when I have a character, I'm not going to be Lynn that's inside the classroom because that's by the book. Good morning, boys
Mhm.
and girls. Good morning, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones. It's very
Yes.
polite, as it should be,
Yes.
because you're dealing with children. In show
Yes.
business, you can just flip it. And that's what I like. So, how
Mhm.
do I prepare? Just to take that character and devour it and go as far as I'm allowed to go out there. And I don't worry about trying to color in the lines at
Okay.
all.
Great.
Okay.
Great. 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 Great.
Mhm.
So let me ask you another thing. How do you handle criticism in this business?
Everybody's gonna criticize you, and I don't care if it's show business, teaching, if you're in the medical field, I don't care if you are a pooper scooper, if you are a tree trimmer, everybody is going to have a criticism.
Mm,
Rule number 1, you could walk into the room. Well, when you walk into the room, 10% of the people that don't even know you are not gonna like you. That's
mm,
just
Right.
yeah, they're not gonna like you. Then you gotta take the other 40%, and they're not gonna like you, and they're gonna tell you
mhm,
why they don't like you. So I don't worry about the criticism. I take it, I listen to it. Some of it's good, a lot of it's garbage, but I do take it, I listen, and then I move on. I take what I can use, and then when I can't, I leave it there. I don't hold
right.
any hard feelings. If somebody feels that way, that's legitimately how they feel. That's fine with me, but I don't have to agree with them, and they don't have to agree with me.
Well, that's a good way. We have more questions, but my one thing I'm going to ask you is, you have a new movie or something coming out. We want to plug that in now, and we're going to plug it in later.
Oh no, let's just get it in. Let's just keep it rolling now. I do. I have a film coming out. It's 2 parts. Part 1, part A, and part, B, or part 1 and part 2, and it is called The Negro Speaks, and it's really good. It stars, who is it? It's Anne-Marie Johnson, Garrett Morris. It has
Okay.
Okay.
casting agent Heidi Hill, director Ron Mosley. There's Annie McKnight, comedian.
Okay.
There's Jeffrey Gunter Anderson, who's in there. There's somebody else I can't remember, but anyway, it's all these people and what they're doing. The Negro speeches. Everybody thinks it's going to be about racism, and it's really good because it's a flip, and it
Uh,
is about Black people dealing with Black people in the industry and how when they kind of get to their high point or not high point, how they kind of get to their what they judge as their level of success, how it isn't the Jewish person, it isn't the Latino person, it isn't the Asian, it isn't the white person, it is the African American
mhm.
person that comes in there and they say, hey, you know, and that's where the discrimination comes. And it's not a
Okay.
mean type
Mhm.
of film, but it's very interesting to hear those that all those talents and their journey and then
Um,
how they perceive their level of success and how other African Americans interacted with
mm.
them to let them know, you ain't all that. But and that's just, the way it went down, and I thought Garrett, Morris was really interesting, and when he said, he got all the way to he was on Saturday Night Live, of course,
Right,
and,
right,
Right.
I don't wanna give everything away, but, he
Yeah,
he met Richard Pryor, and, we know
right.
Richard the greatest, and he was,
yes.
"Pryor, Richard Pryor, yes, yes," and then Richard Pryor had his own entourage. Richard Pryor had his own people because he was a genius also, so is Garrett. But Garrett just knew there was, gonna be, like, some type of, bonding, and it wasn't any disrespect, but it was just that Richard
Um,
Pryor just had his own team. He didn't need Garrett Morris in that moment, and so
Right.
it was really interesting to hear Garrett Morris's journey to talk about how he thought, my brother, and it wasn't
um,
the same, and it happens to us all. I think black on black discrimination is one of the worst type of discriminations in the world. We do it to
Absolutely.
ourselves, heavy topic, but we do it to ourselves. We shouldn't. We don't have to love everybody, but we damn sure don't have to be mean to
Mm,
we don't have to go out of our way to be
mm,
mean, I just
mm.
think it's wrong, you
No,
know?
you're right,
right.
because a lot of times we don't teach well, each one teach one. We don't do that, and
No,
there's
we
some
don't.
people that will do it for another ethnicity other than ourselves, which is really
Yeah.
sad. I've experienced that myself in education. But when is that coming out?
That should be out, I want to say, in June of 2026. So what we do,
Yes.
right now,
Yes.
we start with
Wonderful.
a,
Can't
film
wait.
circuit, and then we go and we also have another project, but I'll keep that a secret,
Okay.
All
Okay.
but
right,
that
all
will
right.
come
And
out
maybe
later
maybe
on,
next
but
time when we have you on here, we'll be able to find out about it because
I
we're
hope so.
looking forward to having you again.
We do. Oh, and I do have a co-producer, I have to mention his name, Michael Gavino,
Okay.
who, also was, the producer on it. I executive produced, but he was the producer on it,
Mhm.
and then, a lady that I work with, Cheryl Gordon,
Okay.
who, our, assistant director, and I've been with Cheryl probably the last 15 years. She's a
Oh,
sister. I met
wow.
her at a networking event. I'm not kidding, there were probably, I wanna say, 1,000 people there, and there were 2 African Americans
Oh, wow.
there, and she and I struck up just a conversation,
Mhm.
and we have been friends ever since, I think since 2003, and, she helps me a lot as far as assistant director on, a lot of my projects, and
Mhm. For
where
that.
where I go, she goes, and vice versa, but Cheryl Gordon and Michael Gavito have been there from the beginning, so I gotta give a shout out to them because they
Okay,
helped me.
Absolutely.
all right. So let's go take a walk down memory lane. What was your very first acting role and how did you feel?
My very first acting role, oh my gosh, was
Yeah, I
I don't
took
know
it
if I was
there.
in high school or
High
what.
school?
This is so long ago. I can't think of the year, but it was in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was on a film called Viper, and they
Oh,
came
okay.
I
to
saw that.
Indianapolis, Indiana to shoot. It was with, Linda Pearl.
Yeah.
She was
I
the big
know her.
in
The
the
Exorcist.
Yes.
I know her.
what no, Linda
Not
Pearl,
Linda Pearl. No, she didn't
Linda
exorcist, was
Linda
she?
Pearl,
Linda
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Pearl was the Exorcist.
no, Linda Pearl,
No.
the, no. Linda
Oh,
Pearl,
okay. Oh, okay. I stand corrected by my
okay, okay.
co-host and by you, the
Yeah,
guest.
Linda Pearl.
Linda Pearl, she was, she's been around, but she was in Matlock the first year.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Let me
but
guess. I
the real
knew her
pretty
from that
blonde,
lot. Thank you,
yeah,
Lynn.
but she's been around. I really she was super, super nice, and I did it with the film with the guy called Ken Foree, and he Ken Foree, years later, would end up being in Kenan and Kel with me,
Oh,
and
yeah. Okay. Okay.
a small world, but that was my first thing. I had 2 lines, and I remember
Two.
going to the movie theater to see it, and there were literally, like, I wanna say 7 people in the movie theater, and my family probably
Seven.
took up 3.
Oh.
So, but it was, the highlight of I mean, just the highlight of just, wow. And I got that part? The weirdest thing, I was trying to get an audition, and I couldn't, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, I know where they're having the auditions. go here, there. And so I was painting at the time at my house. So I said, I'm not even gonna change clothes. I'm gonna run in there. I'm gonna see where this audition is. And this lady, I get in the building and she's staring at me and I'm confused. It's Bobby, like, da, 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 da. And she keeps staring. And I go, and I was very young, very rude, and very cocky. And karma comes back. The,
Cocky.
casting agent, I will never forget her, Valerie McCaffrey, something like that. But anyway, I go in and she's staring at me and I go, what is your problem? What are you looking at? I don't know why. When you're 18, you do stupid stuff. Whatever. I don't remember how old I was, but I was very young and very childish. And I said it, and she goes, "You know what? Come with me. This
Mm.
part calls for a foul mouth, filthy little threat." And I went, and that is how I got the part. And that's
Oh,
what the
wow.
part was.
So
20 years later, I'm at Stella Adler Acting School, and she comes in to guest speak. I said, "She's not gonna remember. She's very nice." We talked. And I said, "Hi, Mrs. McCaffrey, you hired me." And she goes, "I know who you are." And I said, "Oh, from the
Potty
the
mouth.
white room." And
Potty
she
mouth.
said, "I will never forget you." And I said, "Oh, but I've grown up. I changed." And I said, "Listen, I'd like to apologize." Very nice she was. And we had a good laugh. She never hired
good.
me again. However, it's funny how, always be nice, always be polite because 20 years later, something
Absolutely.
could come back
Absolutely.
karma. So be careful. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. What are your favorite types of roles? Because you did mention earlier that it's always somebody crazy. What type of
I wanna
role?
do crazy. Give me the alcoholic, give me and no disrespect to alcoholics, no disrespect, because I know that's a serious problem. Give me the drug addict, no disrespect. I have a normal family, we have all type of issues. Give me the mental ill patient. I played a homeless lady in just a short, in a film, for AFI called The Five. I
Mhm.
can't think of the director's name. And I loved it, and everybody says, "Oh," and I remember the director saying, "Listen, I'm sorry, it's a homeless lady, it's not a big part." But I loved it because I went in, they put me in these clothes, they covered me in dirt. I had to sit on the real sidewalk. They dirt I remember they put dirt all under my nails, all
Mm.
on my toes, and they just I
Mm.
was just so and it was just makeup, but I was so filthy, and then they tie my hair out. Now this is funny because in that scene, it was called The Five, my hair is actually how I normally wear my hair because I usually pin it up all crazy,
Mhm.
so but whatever. But the lady was like, "Oh, I'm glad that you had your hair ready when you came in." I was like, this is how I always wear it." Okay. You know, so go with the flow. But I like that because it was so far from and I'll never say never, only by the grace of God, but,
Yes,
it
absolutely.
was so far from who I am because I'm always very I try to get in the back of the corner, I try to be the quiet one,
Mm.
I don't wanna make a scene,
Mhm.
I try to have, all the makeup on all the time, the earrings, I want everything to be neat, neat, neat. So when I
Right,
take
right.
that to do something like a drug addict or a
Mm.
a a homeless person is very far from me,
Mm.
and I was very uncomfortable in
Okay.
doing it, so I had a
Okay.
lot of fun digging for this homeless woman, and I was rocking, and the
Mhm.
the, uh, director at the time, he said, "No, Lynn, don't rock. We don't need to rock," but I'm a normal rocker, and I rock all the time. So, I didn't even know I was rocking when he said it, so
Right.
I enjoyed that. Can't think of the guy director's
Good.
name, Duran somebody, but it was
Well,
called The Five. I loved it, but
okay,
whatever.
good. I'm gonna have to check that out. But let me ask you this: have you did any producing or directing,
I
or
did, when we did The Negro Speak, I directed that,
no?
and that's, 2 the first one's like an hour and 30 minutes, I think the other one's like an hour and 10 minutes, so I directed both of those,
Oh wow.
The Negro Speaks, and then we did, what else? I did a film called Diamond Real Estate. I
Uh-huh.
didn't direct that one. Joseph Marcel, who played the butler for Fresh Prince, directed that one,
Oh, okay.
and that one tanked, by the way, but we had a blast making it. It didn't go anywhere, but I don't care. You have to suck it up, the good with the bad.
Hey, Lynn, was
And then
that
I
a short with you and Joseph Marcel, or was that an actual full feature?
It was just a short. It was just a short, and then I did a one called Coffee Chatter, and this is how I ended up directing. When we went to do Coffee Chatter, everything was going wrong. The director that we had, it wasn't working out. Everything was just going wrong. And a friend of mine at the time who was, helping me produce, and he just reached over and he leaned and he said, "Take over." And I
Mm,
said, "Oh, I can't." And he goes, "You're gonna have to direct it." And I went, "I can't." And he goes, "Direct it, Lynn. You can do it." And I grabbed I said, "No, I can't." And he just very kindly, he said, "You're gonna have to do it.
mm,
You're
mm.
going to be a director with this project." And he just walked away, and I thought and that's how I ended up in directing.
Oh, wonderful,
Wow.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And I thought, "You know what? It's kinda interesting." So I
Wow.
ended up segueing into something totally different. If I had my choice, I would just be an actress, and that would be it. But I think in reality, in today's age, you better have more hats than just one. Yeah, I mean,
Right. Probably
I think
so.
you need to, produce, you need to direct, you need to act, you need
Mhm,
to
mhm,
co-produce, you need to cast, you need to
mhm,
write. I just think you need to have more hats than one, and I see it more and more, and so to each his own, though. Somebody just
mhm,
wants to do, one thing. If somebody just wants to be a dancer, then be a
mhm.
dancer if that's your thing, but I'd say the more hats you have, the better, but hey,
Right.
whatever you do, do it
No,
do your
well-rounded.
hey,
Well-rounded with the more things that you can, add
hey,
to the production.
Well,
thank you.
let me ask you this. I know most people they go into Hollywood, they're young actors. You don't really it's very seldom that you see somebody who's old that gets into it because they've been discovered or whatever. What advice would you have to somebody who is older like me and Ro? Okay, I'm speak for myself, but I'm not trying to add. But anyway, what advice would you have if somebody says, "Oh, I have the acting bug. I'm 60 something years old and I want to get into acting." What would you tell them?
Do it, do it,
Oh,
Do it.
do it,
Like
do it.
Nike, just do it.
Let's do it. I say do it, and the reason why I say do it because it's your dream. Um,
okay. I like that.
only us as an individual know the level of our success. Somebody may look and say, "Hey, I never heard of you. I don't know you." Well, I can say the same thing. However, I have to judge myself. I don't care what somebody else says. I have to judge my own level of success. What
Right.
makes a person successful? Is it millions of people? Yeah. Is it one person? Perhaps. But
Mhm.
only that individual can level their own degree of success. So I would say, I don't care if you're 100. If you have a dream and your dream is to be an actor or a producer or a gardener or a baker or a painter, whatever it is, just go out and do it. Do the very best that you can. You may be a painter. Nobody may never see your work, but hey, these paintings on the wall, those are my mother's paintings. And she said, "You know what? I'm teaching. I'm going to quit teaching. I'm going to be a painter." And people say, they're not really professional. I see the flaws, but she did it. She did it up until she
Okay,
Awesome.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love
so
it.
everybody do your own level. We all just take care of our own dreams. It'd be such
Right.
a beautiful world. It really would.
Oh
And don't
my.
don't beat up yourself because you're not world famous. But be sure that you enjoy the journey. Be if
That
you're
part.
20
That part.
or
Enjoy
if you're
it.
Right.
have fun, laugh as much as you can. Many times you're gonna cry. Laugh as much as you can, but please try to enjoy that journey. Please.
That's good.
Well,
Yeah.
you said, just do it and laugh and do all that. Let's talk about some of the underbelly of acting. What challenges did you face early on, or sacrifices did you make to pursue your career in acting?
There's so many challenges. You get to a point where you just think, "Oh my God, does anybody see me out here?" You go to audition after audition after audition,
Right.
and nobody, is looking at you. I have never gone to an audition and gotten the part that I have auditioned for. I
Mm,
have gotten parts, but it wasn't what I went in for.
So
So,
was it an
uh,
afterthought? An afterthought?
I have gone in for an audition for a hooker and got the part as a nurse. I've gone in for the part of a nurse and got the part as a businesswoman. I don't know how somebody looks and they go, "You would make a really good tramp." And I just think, "Oh, okay.
And
So if
something
that's how you
No,
see
not
me,
every
I
time.
know who
It's the
I am."
look.
You
It's
know,
the
that
look.
that that look, yeah, I
That
don't
look.
know, it's just kinda funny. I did the film Strawberry Wild with it. I don't know how that lady took a look at me. Her name
Mhm.
was Alexander, I can't think of her last name, but she did a film called Strawberry Wild, and she
Okay.
did not even she looked at my photo and gave me a call and said, "I know you
Mhm.
can do this part just by your look." How she was able to look at a photo and I'm just sitting there smiling in my little school teacher dress, and she said, "You could be this crazy, crazy, prostitute." And I went, "Hmm, okay," and worked with her and loved it. How she did it, I don't know. But the underbelly, the dark side, I've
Mhm.
seen friends, become homeless.
Mhm.
I've seen
Sorry
friends
about that. Mhm.
um, foreclosed on. I've seen friends where I've, had to take them to LAX to get them on that plane. I've seen friends do, you know, just quit and give up. And I get it. We only know our limits. So if
Mhm.
that's your limit and you know it's time for you to go, if something is too heavy, then I would say back away, run away, something like that.
How has acting in Hollywood changed since you've done that? Since you've been in the
You know,
business.
because Hollywood is forever, and forever, and forever, and forever, constantly changing. We've had,
Mhm.
let me see, it used to be, what did we have? Just a few networks, and then we started having the cable companies, and now we have the streaming company, and now we have the, vertical films, and now we have the indie films. So it's ever
Right.
evolving. It's more opportunities for people to act and write
Oh,
as far as you can do independent, you could do network, you could do low budget, medium budget, big budget, things like, different levels, different tiers like that. But the big work
mhm.
is not here in California as much as it used to. Back when I first started, I think, how did the shows go? I think we did like 21 or 23 weeks on a show. If you got like on a sitcom or something like that, you would do 13 weeks. And if it got picked up, you get like another 13 or something. So you could go like 21 to 23 weeks, working on a sitcom, whether you stand in or a background actor, and even for the stars on the show. So different lengths of time and different avenues for work to come. But there's less work now in California. You see a lot of independent work, a lot of student films, and you still have, your network shows and things like that. But a lot of work is in other states or other countries,
Right.
and they're trying to make the Screen Actors Guild is trying to make some changes. The state of California is trying to make some changes. Who knows how it will turn out in the, end, but hopefully it will fare that we keep, most of the work here in, California.
Let me just piggyback real quick before Rhonda says something. Tyler Perry's in Atlanta. Are you? Do you do anything or do roles
I
for
have
him?
never done a role for Tyler Perry, and I've never done any project in Atlanta. All my work has just been here in LA. I'm not opposed to going anywhere to work, be it Atlanta, Canada, doesn't make me any difference. Once it's work,
Okay.
I would prefer, of course, to stay here in California, but we have to be realistic. If you kind of have to go.
You gotta go
You
where
have to
they
go
paying,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Where the money is. Let me ask you a question, Lynn. Are you more interested in theater, film, TV, or voice acting? And then tell me
I
why.
I like film. I like television the best. It's such a fake world, and everything is so controlled in a film. You have the exact lines of what to say, you have the exact clothes of what to wear,
Mhm.
you have the exact, the setting. It's such a controlled thing. And then as an actor, you just come in and you just kind of like, sprinkle some your little acting part on it, but everything else is laid out. Theater, it is more on the spot. It's done every night. It's live audience. I think you have to listen more, in my opinion, because the okay, if you're on a film or a television set, and let's just say a lamp falls over, well, they can stop. They'll holler stop or cut, and there's somebody will replace it or fix it, whatever. If you're on stage
Uh,
and the lamp falls over when it's not supposed to, that actor's gotta, really be in tune to, keep it going 'cause nobody's gonna say, "Cut, let's do that." It's alive, right then and there, so I like stage. I think it's a little more nerve-wracking. For me, I'm a little lazy, so it's a little more nerve-wracking of improv on a film and stuff like that, and that's a lot of fun for me, but I for some reason, I like being in front of that camera more. It's just
mhm.
more rewarding for my personal being than it is for me being on stage. Not opposed to any of it, but that's just how I feel in this moment.
Well, then here's what I'm gonna say because you're so funny. Have you thought about
A
comedy?
lot of people
I come to the show for
a
sure.
lot of people, ask me that, and a lot of people I can't, like, be funny, I just say myself
Just
funny. Yeah,
like me,
yeah,
girl, like
exactly.
me.
I'm thinking, no, both of you might need to go on the stage together.
We
You
can
know,
only say it in the moment. You can't be paid
yeah,
to
yeah,
say
I
it.
I I couldn't do it. I admire, comedians. I like, the comedian Annie McKnight
Yeah,
because Annie McKnight is very, very funny. I've known her for a long time, and um I
absolutely.
can't be like
Yes.
that. Somebody can say something I think is totally insane, and I'll have a rebuttal, but I can't, like, get up on stage and just be funny. I can, whatever, something that like that type. But I admire comedians. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I just put that thought out
Okay,
there.
thank you, but no.
You funny.
Thank
You're
you.
funny, girl.
Thanks.
You're funny. You're funny, girl. Look, let me ask you something. How do you see your industry evolving over the next 5 years with the addition of AI?
AI is here to stay. It is constantly, uh,
Yeah, I'm
changing
aware.
the game. I honestly don't know. I just don't know. I don't know.
That's an honest answer.
I don't have the answer for that. And sometimes, I'll listen to things and I think, "Oh, it'll never be this way or it's gonna be this way." And then I think in reality, I don't have any clue. I just don't. That one is so broad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then let me ask you this. Do you have a nickname? Because I think I found that you have a
Nope.
nickname. Hold on.
Oh, I do
Huh?
not.
Are you
Positive.
sure? Hold on. Now, what I found was you have a nickname. I think it's Lenny the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh, because I love Winnie the Pooh. Oh, Winnie and Elroy,
Okay.
and I really do. So growing up,
Is that
yes,
from
a lot of
Lynn?
people will call me Lenny the Pooh.
Okay, I found that out. I said, let me ask her, is that her
Yeah.
nickname?
Yes.
Lenny the Pooh. Does everybody call
Yeah,
you
they
that
you know
now?
what? A lot of people now, if I go back home to Indiana, a lot of people will call me Lenny the Pooh, but I hear people call me Bubbles. So, people know me as, "Oh, look, there's Bubbles. Hey, Bubbles, how you doing?" So, Bubbles.
Bubbles.
How you doing, Bubbles?
Out here, but at home, it's
Lenny the
Lenny the
Pooh. Yes,
Pooh.
it is.
That's so
Thank you.
cute.
Not cute.
Because she didn't even know that.
I
The
didn't
twins, I
know.
said, I think she has a nickname
Lenny
called
the
Lenny
Pooh.
the
Yes,
Pooh.
yes.
She did her
She did good.
research.
I did,
I
I
done good. Yes,
did.
she did. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
Yes.
Good to know.
Yep.
So, Can you tell people what your handle is, where they can find you at as far as your internet or
You
your
know,
website?
as far as I'm not, Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in years, and I don't know why. I don't have anything against it. I just haven't. I do like Instagram. I'm under Coffee Chatter One under Instagram, and we have
Yes.
a nonprofit called Coffee Chatter.
Mhm.
Before COVID, we had events once a month, and it was open to the public. It was just come in. There was no charge. And what we would do would bring in guest speakers in the industry, and they would come in and speak. And the whole point of Coffee Chatter was there was no, interviewer. The audience had to ask the questions. And then after that, we would do like 30 minutes
Mhm.
of asking questions, and then we would stop and we'd always have coffee. Um,
Coffee chatter.
then people would have coffee, and then with that coffee, you would just, talk and network, and it was a way to get people to network in the industry. It was a lot of fun. When COVID came, we had to well, first of all, everything was shut down. So then when things, came back, we shift and we went into Coffee Chatter. Now what we do, we make the documentary, film. That's
Mhm.
why we have the film The Negro, Speaks. So with that in mind, we still have events, just not every month. When we have them, we invite them. Like, I will invite, say, 10
Mm.
people, and then I'll tell 10 people, "Okay,
Uh-huh.
you can invite 10 people." And so that way, that's a kind of like a controlled environment, and meeting, and we still bring in guest speakers to talk, about show
Right.
business. We have one coming up in the spring called Summer Breeze. That's by invitation. Then we have one,
Okay.
I think, again I think it's in June. Then we have another one in September that I see the September, October that comes up. We have our annual
Okay.
Christmas party, but it's always network
Okay.
and to try to help people get into the business. Again, no charge. It's just open. If we have it down in LA, then
Yeah.
we try to advertise it and
Mhm.
things like that. But you'll hear about
Mhm.
it and as we go through, and it's pretty nice. And we just try to help people get work and help spread the word about whatever somebody has in the industry that they may be wanting to talk about. Mhm.
So here's the thing. I know that you used to be with the LA Mission. You used to do on what is it? Walk
Oh,
the
yeah,
socks or
every Christmas, we would collect socks and we would give
right.
them to the LA Mission. We did that. It was really nice. We would give sometimes 2 to 3,000 pair of socks to the LA Mission. When we first
Mhm.
started off, it was for men only, and then we started getting for women, and then, now it's men, women, and children. We haven't done it in a while, but we did used to do the LA Mission where we would, just had donations and people would donate, socks. Mhm.
Right. Okay, wonderful. So let me ask you this. Another question is, you still have events coming up. Is that private or is that for the public or is there anything that somebody can do as far as donate or do anything for the events
When we
that you
have the
have
one
coming up?
in June, that one's more of a private, but when we have the one I can't remember if it's in the end of September or the 1st of October. That one is open to
Okay.
the, public for when we do that one. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. How would they be to contact and do
Right
something for
about
that? The
Right
public one.
about the end of May, about June the 1st, you will see the Coffee Chatter website come up, and it'll be at coffeechatter.net, and you'll see that website come up, and when you
Hmm.
see that website, it'll list the events. It doesn't stay up for very long, and then we put the events up and what we do, and then it'll come, down, and we just kinda post when we are having public events. Other than that, if we're not doing events, then we're always working on some type of, documentary. That's our main, like a informative educational documentaries is what we was what
Absolutely. And we'll put that in on this broadcast that is
perfect. Yes.
www.coffeechatter.net.
Uh-huh. Yep. Mhm.
Correct? All right. And we'll make sure that everybody can see that so we can help out. And when there it is right there. Okay. I'm gonna try to get something for wine chatter or beer chatter. I'm just kidding.
But we always when we have our public events, they're open to the public, and we ask people just to come in. You have to be
Absolutely.
willing to have your business cards or some way to communicate, and you have to be
Okay.
respectful to the guests, and it's just no charge.
Mhm. Thank you so
Uh,
much. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Well, Lynn, thank
thank
you
you.
so much for spending time with us today on Educators Game
Yes,
On.
Yes.
We appreciate your expertise in the field of acting
And your
thank you.
time.
and the time that you spent
I
with us
appreciate you
today.
having me. I've
Yes.
had a lot of fun.